I'm bored.
Me too.
Let me pitch an idea to you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Everyone's special.
I've got doo-doo in my...
Frickin' frick. When will you learn?
Listen here, you little shithead.
I'm feeling pretty oof right now.
Can't believe you've done this.
That's a several amount of damage. It's true.
Not gonna lie, so far for this, I only have stuff that you guys have been saying out of context. Hello, welcome to the second ever ASL's All-Star Speaking Lounge podcast with me, your new host, because Brett isn't going to be here for this one. He'll be back for the next one. But it's me, TCP, and I'm here with Melone.
Hi there.
I'm here with Brad.
That's me.
I'm here with Static.
The one and only Jolteon Gaming.
That's it. Right, Ian?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Sounds about right, yeah.
So, as everyone might realize, we have all the old guys and me here to talk about ASL Season 1. And I guess we should probably start this with Brad and Ian talking about the origin of it all. Origin story of ASL. Other than, like, the message that you showed us was, like, 3 words.
Yeah, so it really started for a really terrible experiences in Draft League. I hopped in and out of a lot of leagues, and mostly I discovered Draft League kind of through YouTube and several different channels. Shady was probably the most notable. Shady Penguin I kept up with quite a bit. And I kind of got into Draft League and started looking around and finding it, and somehow or another, Discord, which I for a long time didn't know anything about, found my way into it, found my way into several leagues. And leagues were just trash. Just week, 2 weeks, a draft, maybe a couple of games, apps, over and over. And so that personality of just, hey, if I don't like it, I'll just do it myself. I just have that blind belief we can make it fit, we can make it work. Have the time in my life to do it alone. So I don't even remember what league it was, honestly.
Yeah, can't think of a name. Yeah.
But I was
I don't even think it had a name.
Was his name Hearthstone? Hearth something?
It's a card game, Hearthstone, but
No, there was a guy that ran the league that had a similar name, and either way, I ended up in the league, and I ran across Ian. I think me and him and the commissioner were the only active people for the most part. Because of being in that league, I just took a shot and said, "Hey, approach this guy that we got along in chat or whatever, and just said, hey, listen, I want it to work, and I think I can do it better than what I've been in, and I want you to come help me do it." I mean, how it was born.
any thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, Ian.
So I started Draft League mainly because of TFlight, master memes. He got me into it. He was the one who used to send me really strange sets every single day. OU and ran bats and stuff like that, and doing tours on Showdown. So he was the one that got me into it, and I think the league which I joined with Brad was probably the first league I joined actually. Everyone was just so inactive. We didn't even have a doc till about. We made a doc while the draft was going on. It was really poorly planned out, or like poorly hosted by whoever the commissioner was at that time. And yeah, Brad and I were like the only couple of active people, along with the commissioner at that time, and it just made sense that had to change the community to do something new, because a couple of leagues after that, and they had the same outcome of being active for 1 or 2 weeks after draft. Active, and yeah, starting the ASL just made sense to us.
So
That's experience. Yeah.
I guess it's very interesting how you guys got together. But how did you go about recruiting people? Because well, I know how you've done it for like the training center where you sent out an application, you had people talk to you, you did an interview process and everything. But the first time it must have not been that smooth. So I was wondering what was your experience with your first recruiting process?
I
So
remember.
first, yeah,
Go ahead, Ian.
he,
Remember, Ian knew
when
some people.
I knew some people, and Brad knew some people, and some people knew some people. Basically, that was it. And we first started off, obviously, not everyone was active, and Brad and I had to, and we had to replace everyone, all these inactive people, as soon as we could, just so the league would continue to be here today.
So, so I'm just looking at the ASL Season 1 doc. Is that the reason why people like, I would say, like Addison 1, Slarflare, like I'm just Lumberjack, that
Yeah.
were, they just were inactive and then got out?
Panda.
Case-
The other
Panda?
panda, the
The
original
other
panda.
the original panda?
No, it's interesting because here we are, really 2.5 years later. We're 7 seasons into it. And we've certainly formalized our rules and done a lot of things like that. But our code of conduct's never changed. We had high expectations from day one, and if you didn't meet that, um, and it's been that way since the first day. We've held this expectation that if you accept a coaching position here, you're going to follow through with it, and if you don't, you don't belong. We've been that way ever since. We've done that way from the start. So people came, they didn't meet our expectation.
We're out.
And that's how you keep a business alive, is you you treat your members with a certain level of respect. Unlike every other, well, I won't say every other, but a lot of draft leagues just kind of like, hey, you're a guy, come play. You don't have a life, come play with us.
Yeah. I think Brad and I make it a point to get to know everyone in the community, especially our coaches. May not be so for all our zombies, but especially our coaches. We make sure to build a bond between them, and that's really important for us for our community, I think, and what the ASL is about.
Ah,
Mhm.
the feels. Anyways, let's move this to the new direction. So Static, we haven't been talking to you.
I'm excited about this.
Eventually,
I get to go first.
you got to join Season 1. So
Yeah.
tell us about your coming into the ASL, the whole process, the first
Perfect.
season, anything.
So this was actually fun fact. My first solo standardized draft league. I was introduced probably only about a month earlier. Just playing on Showdown. I was in the tournament section, just doing battles. And I got in contact with Lotad for the win. The god that he was, as we all know and love. And I got to join, I think it was started off as a doubles league, and there was an LC league that he was also doing. That's actually how I got my the logo for the melodic. There was another person in that league who was just doing logos. I was like, hey, you want to do mine? And then he said, okay, and did mine. And there you go. It looks fantastic after 3 years. But in essence, Lotad invited me to join and take over a spot for the one and only Dispan. May he rest in peace. And I took him up on the offer and started. It wasn't exactly a great start. I think it was 2-5 at that point, something like that. But I mean, I liked the community at the very least. It seemed a lot more formalized, a lot more organized, and I think I made a pretty decent impression, at least from the very start. It wasn't exactly my best season, but I did finally actually get. This was the first time I'd actually been battling draft-wise, getting to do my own trades and organizations without the league just dying, which was pretty great. So I guess what I'm saying is my impact wasn't really too much on the first season. That would come more into fruition as like second, third, fourth season came around. But I did get to see some people coming into the league. Like I think TheGreatOne came in and replaced Eminem Suspect Test. Hutch came in that season. Rocker was fairly new. Keester came in really late. You know, why? Shut up. Go away. Thunderflight came in near the very end and then left because I beat him in a. What was it? It was like an event thing that we were doing at the end of the season, and we were in teams or something. We had to take we picked a team from the league, and we had to do a draft league battle. It was me versus TFlight, and I kicked his ass, and then he left the league. It was really funny. I think I got help from Brad and Ian, so that might have contributed to it. But in any case, I don't know. It was a good start, and I mean, I stayed around, right? So it's not like I hated the league.
So
yeah, that's about it. Oh, and I guess I should talk about Fabio and how that just was like the thing. So in season 1, I mean, at least half, if not more, of the league got replaced. And this was Gen 6, so very late. Very late Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby. So we were still sort of in that vein of history. So we didn't really have a lot of the Gen 7. We didn't have any of the Gen 7 moms yet. So stuff like Mega Scizor, Mega Lopunny, Talonflame still sort of ruled the meta at that point. And despite all this, the lovely thing, I think mostly just spam. I did kind of contribute to it as well. But Mega Ampharos that year got nominated for Defensive MVP with a ratio of 12 kills and 5 deaths in 10 games, which I think is probably the best that it's ever going to do in any season, in any league whatsoever. So, he called it Fabio, and I just called that Remember in like memory of Disfam until I came back in off season 4, tried to draft bulk and then rage quit. It was great. But yeah, that's about it.
Mega Fabio. Anyways, so Static going 2-5. Not exactly the best season. But Ian, you had a pretty notorious season for this season 1, didn't you? Why don't you tell us about that?
I had a 7-6 season in season 1, but looking back, I think season 7 Ian was probably 6-0 or 6-0 anytime. Some of the plays were just awful back then because I was just really new to the community and really new to Draft League and how to set up my EVs right, my items, my sets didn't make sense sometimes. In general, just didn't really make sense. But season 1 was fun because I think that's where just getting into Draft League, and a lot of people in the league at the time were new to the format and new to Draft League in general. So it was, I think, seeing everyone just being the baby selves, baby Draft League player. Yeah, I remember people which I knew beforehand were Thunderflight and Inaria. Basically, the first person to join after Brad and I, but he left soon after for some reason, and he joined late in the season again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, the season had its up and downs. We had some really good coaches join us. Hutch, namely, joined late in the season as well.
Oh wow,
We
I'm a
had
good coach. Fucking wow,
was
that's
at some point.
I'm surprised, but okay.
We had PG, but we also had like some really unfortunate,
Garbage.
yeah, Sand namely at some point, and we had season one. But I remember in off season, Brad and I wanted to reality a bit because he kind of got carried away with thinking he is the best player in the league at the time. So we devised an off season where we initially pick people to be on, and then we'd have to pick people to be on our own teams. So I remember giving Raver to Brad on round
Yep.
one
Yep,
camp, and that kind of
and that was it.
that was it for Raver right there.
No, he
The main,
got his ego got the better of him, and he was just done.
yeah, the main reason why I did it was because I didn't want his ego to be on my team because that would just demotivate and
I think-
demoralize everyone.
Yeah,
I just gave it to Brad, and yeah,
and we
that
can
was
kind
the
of
end.
just talk about Raver right now. We don't have to go in a specific order. Might as well like stick on him since we're talking about him already.
Okay, yeah. So Raver is a notorious name, probably for the ASL, considering that. Well, I have no clue really who he is. I've just heard a little bit of stories, but and he is the first ever champion of the ASL. So why don't you tell us about Raver and his antics?
So
And where'd he come from? We got him from Inaria, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I think he was, as we kind of alluded to, most of the coaches that ended up in season one were friends of friends of friends. Honestly, that's kind of what we got down into. We got into like fourth and fifth party friends, trying to, and even Jesus, some people I remember just finding on Showdown ladder. So it got pretty rough for a while. I mean, we replaced more than we, far more coaches than were actually in the league, I think. So somehow or another, we ended up with this kid, and I say that he was a kid. He was maybe, what do you think, 16, 17?
Yeah, most likely.
Maybe 18. Which I mean,
I think
for
he's
those
a
that
bit
don't know, I'm
older.
29.
I think
I
his
mean, in
junior
fairness, Hutch was like 12, so you gotta take it with a grain. of
college.
salt.
I know I'm old compared to everybody, but he was a kid, and he did really well. He had a really good season. As many people have seen over the years of the ASL, it's very common for people to have good seasons and bad seasons. Maybe you get a draft that fits your style and you perform really well. Maybe you don't have the time to prep well and you have a bad season. It's the norm. He had a really good season, but you could tell in his play style and kind of his just in him and the things he would say that he may not have been as good as his record looked. And he thought he was, he thought he was the whole shebang. I mean, he was the best thing on earth. And so it created a bit of a toxicity among the group. It was kind of, even though we're all online, I mean, you could kind of, he walks in the room and there's the eye rolls. You know what I mean? It was that kind of an environment where, he's good and I respect him for being good, but guys, you can't like him. You just can't.
I was
His
honestly kind of
personality.
neutral to Raver throughout the entirety of season one. He would just come in, and I was just like, okay, well, he's this guy who talks like once every 2 weeks, does his battles, but doesn't really communicate with the community at all. And then he was gone. I was like, okay, whatever.
It's unfortunate, I don't know if he would be any good in the current meta, in season 7, who knows? Certainly we've all evolved. Maybe he would have kept up with us, but
Maybe.
his brain space and the way he was just honestly just a young kid that just have enough maturity to know how to handle success.
So, moving on. We could talk about your story, Brad, but I think something that's probably the most interesting to me, at least, is some of the stories of mostly Sand, because Sand is probably the most notorious name of ASL history. Maybe Lotad is also up there, but he was also in season 1, somewhat, right? So I would like to know the story of Sand, if you'd be down to tell us all, lighten us.
Where did we get Sand from? Was he one of the Showdown people?
Someone knew him, I think.
Yeah, I think I was it that
It was probably
stealing from
Lotad.
memory. I either found him on Showdown Ladder or from a different league, and God knows which one. Who knows? He was a younger guy, probably around 16, 17, 18. I genuinely believe he had some type of handicap or disability. He was a very strange young man, and I mean that respectfully. He was just strange. He was just different. I think his reality maybe wasn't necessarily the same reality everyone else had, and so he seemed to be getting along well, seemed to be doing fine with the group, and then argumentative at times, difficult to deal with. Was when we did the Commissioner Bowl, first Commissioner Bowl, season 1. Yeah, I believe it was Toga Kiss, right? Was that the Toga Kiss season?
It was Togekiss, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a kiss flip.
Won that game, Gimmick, and I lost to some Togekiss shenanigans, as we all have. In fact, Ian should have won, and I beat him, so redemption come. But we had kind of picked prep teams to work together, and kind of made it known that we were working with different teams, and I'd let Sand come along with me, and I don't remember who else was on my prep team, but we were kind of trading some light jabs, and his light jabs went way too far. He took it personally. It was getting upset, and it was just, I mean, he was just acting ridiculous. It was akin to some second grade schoolyard shenanigans. And so it got pretty poor. And then when I corrected him, you could tell he wasn't used to being corrected. And he kind of melted down. I think he accused us of, collusion, of planning the league out, who would win, who would not win, so on and so forth. I believe the week he quit, is that right?
I was just after the game after me. And I made all my transactions before my game before him. So got an additional transaction for beating Brad in Commissioner Ball. So he said that me using all 4 of my transactions was basically of cheating to win against, or basically Brad and I were trading teams to beat him.
Was it you and Brad? I thought it was Brad and TFlight, because I thought they traded Megas for Mega Torpedo and Mega Metacam.
I traded
like that's what I thought it was. Because TFlight had come back into the league, and then you guys traded 3 Mons, and then Sand got pissed off because he was like, "Oh, you guys are you're trading so that TFlight does better in the league than I does and make playoffs because you're friends." And then he left.
Maybe. It was so long ago, but
it was it was like 2.5 years ago. I'm not like, it was a long bit, but bottom line was he was just. I mean, I've seen him in other leagues. He was a toxic individual. And I remember those insults during the Commissioner Bowl too. They were, I mean, Rocker himself was not exactly the most mature people, but Stan was going really personal. Like it got really weirdly like vendetta-like almost. Kind of odd, but he was kind of the. Yeah, it was the notorious name of season 1. among some very notorious names, he was the one that kind of stuck out as like, yeah, we're not gonna tolerate some idiot coming in here and just trash talking people and then leaving.
I mean, it happens, and we see it because the online community is full of people of varying experience, varying background, and but most people, they're responsible, respectful. You give them constructive criticism, they live with it. And I don't think Sand could live with it. The fact that he wasn't the best, the fact that he wasn't even maybe average in some cases, and I don't think he could handle it. And the feedback he got was hard, and I don't think he dealt with it well. And why he's infamous for us.
So, moving back to people's seasons. Brad, you had a pretty good season for the first season, right? So why don't you tell us about your season, if you remember it?
Sure, season 1. Looking back on season 1, without question, my favorite part about season 1 was having the lunacy and maybe courage to show up to a finals game with Ninetales, Skuntank, and Electabuzz on my starting 6.
Hell yeah.
I've always been that way. Win or lose, I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever makes me happy. You know what I mean? And I come into that prep and I was just like, I want to use my low tier stuff. And if I win, I'm gonna win by goofing, having fun with the mons that I enjoy. And so I certainly remember that. I will happily admit that I enjoyed beating Sand. That was certainly a highlight. We had some good things. We had some tough times in that season. We all love Hutch and remember him favorably. Season 1, I almost deleted him probably 3 times. He was just a young little lad, his rage monster, and he would admit that to you in a heartbeat. So that was a struggle. That was Ian probably pulled me off of that one a couple of times. But there was some good times. There were some good experiences. I will always remember Ian's Mega Gardevoir. I think it probably averaged 3.5 kills a game from the time he picked it up. And I don't think he's ever used it in league in ASL since, which is mind-boggling to me because he just picked up kills every game with it. That was something. And then just
bad back then.
I remember just some of the boggling teams we come up with. It was unbelievable. You go back and watch season 1 replays, which for those that don't know, in our Discord server, we have archives and you can go back and look at our old stuff. God, we were so bad. Bad. I mean,
really
Jesus. Bad. It's like, geez, we were trash. And so, I certainly look back on it with a lot of great memories. We made a lot of friends. Even Melone is still here for some reason. He keeps coming back. And
Melone came back the very next day.
Back on the names, Miguel was good, and he's been in and out. I've not seen or heard of Inaria. Doom's been in and out. TFlight's back now.
Gustavo,
Raver
the legend.
Gustavo's now a zombie. Keester was in management for a while and is gone now.
Rocker's a zombie.
Yeah, I haven't heard from TG in years.
I haven't heard from Rin in a while too, honestly.
Hutch's story is yet to be written. Who knows? I hope he comes back one day. It just years and years and evolution. It's been a good story. But season 1, a lot of fun. Scratching stuff back then.
I think that I can probably paint a decent picture of Hutch because I probably know the story better.
Yeah, I think it's about time Malone shared his sort of side.
Malone, we haven't really had you in the spotlight.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the very beginning, so this will make sense. Because the beginning of where I came from, a lot of people, like a lot of the future ASL people, were there. So started out and through like A Drive is like kind of how I got into it, I guess. And then my IRL friend. And then I met Blake and Susie. At the time, Mr. Spider. We joined a league. Turned to shit pretty quick. Started up a league. And yeah, so that was basically like how the ASL was made, but like 7 notches less like cool, you know. And then from there we found Hutch on Showdown. Had a good season. I made the finals. I know
Oh
you've never heard
God!
that. You've
I'm a
never heard that in a
GM.
sentence before. You've
God.
never heard that I made the finals before. But anyways, to the
It's been a
ASL.
great.
Does anyone know how Rocker joined? I don't know.
I can't remember.
But anyways, he joined and then I don't know if I joined or Hutch joined. But me and Hutch are both like 13 or 14. I don't even know.
I know you
Or-
joined before Hutch came.
Yeah. And then the season happened. I beat Static with a Talonflame. That was pretty fun.
What you? Yeah, yeah. Pretty much. That was the highlight of the season, wasn't it? That literally was.
It was. Um But yeah, I mean I did pretty garbage. I had a triple flying core. Pretty great. I had four mons that were not like from trades or transactions, and the team was still
Oh
garbage.
God.
Like it's so bad. But look where we are now.
Making playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons.
Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna
You
do.
do Melone.
I mean, I gotta keep the records that I have because there are some records that I can't get.
Yeah, like
Worst differential I have. I gotta close
the
games.
worst win streak you had, which was it 1 win or 0 wins?
What do you mean? Oh, like in the season?
Yeah,
The worst win streak was just 1, I guess.
I think it was just 1. Yeah.
It would the ASL will have to go for another 7 seasons for Malone to not have the worst differential.
Yeah. No, probably more. Well, I mean that would bank on
Oh,
like
Malone.
people staying a while.
Yeah, people would.
That is fair. Yeah.
Someone would have to
fair.
lose for like 5 seasons straight to catch up to Malone.
Malone's differential for like the first 3 seasons was probably like negative 20 to 30. It was
Not my
He's
season 1
28 for
differential.
season 1.
Negative 40. Oh well,
Oh.
actually no, that was part of that was lumberjack. Part of that was lumberjack. That wasn't all me.
Yeah.
I think season 2 or 3 was my worst.
Something.
It's in where's the archives? I need to find it.
good thing you prepared for this podcast and
Yeah.
you got everything up
I'm
already.
very prepared. Okay.
Our lovely host, Water Malone.
Well, I mean, I had like the ASL archives, but then I realized that it was old.
Yeah.
But on the
So
old one, I
understand.
have negative 131. That's pretty good.
I remember that number.
It's definitely or more, unless I don't know what was my differential in season. Crap. What, season 5? I don't even know.
So
Well, I'll share. We've done kind of interesting things with the ASL. Season 1, we went into the off season. We've always had an off season project, and a lot of things really. When you go back and look at maybe the presentation's different now, and it's maybe a little bit more well produced and a little more professional. But some of the core beliefs we've had are still the same, and so to go back and look at it, when I wanted to do season 2, in I don't remember if Ian being in favor of me picking up management team members. I just remember him pretty much always opposing me, saying, "We don't need anybody else." And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to give people a chance." He's like, "Yeah, it's probably gonna fail." Right. But I keep sticking to it.
So what was your inspiration? I'll ask you, Brad, because I've never actually asked you this before. It might be a good time. What was your inspiration for doing like the announcement letter, sort of greeting everybody every season? Because that started in season 1, even when I was first coming in. You just give a document saying thank you for joining the it's just a little thing that you do every single season. So I guess what sort of inspired you to do that?
I've always been a writer. I'm a professional writer. It's part of what I do and part of my job as a supervisor for my office. I review writing every day, and I've always been into writing and reading. And so, if we're an online community and we're going to be, communicating in an online fashion, writing is a normal part of that. So,
Right.
I felt it best to give some type of declaration. I think it makes it more official. I think it makes it kind of stand out, be different.
Did you ever consider collaborating with Ian for his ASL Pokemon story? Because I feel like you two together would make that really great.
Well, it's no lost fact that Ian has always been the fun, and I have always been the mean. That's always been the reality of the ASL, and it needs to be. Ian's personality is welcoming, and people are easily attracted and want to be around him, want to hang out with him. He's always been the guy that brought in the people and made them all feel good, and I've always been the guy who ruined it all, but gave us.
So you're the task collector,
guidelines
Ian's
that
the
allowed
pervert.
us.
That's how it's always worked out.
Well, it's a little more balanced behind the scenes, more than people would see. We're more alike than we are different, even though we may not show it to everybody else. But the way it's worked out is I've always been the problem, and Ian's always went and tried to fix the problem afterward.
So
Brilliant.
the way I'd like to move this conversation now is so there's a lot of names that have been thrown around. We did talk about Raver, we did talk about Sand, but there's some guys that I know, or yeah, that makes sense. I know who I've known a little bit of that were legends. For example, like TG, he's a legend that I know, but maybe some of the people who joined maybe season 6 or maybe even season 7 have no idea from some of these guys. So why don't we talk about someone like maybe like TG, I guess.
You need to go start.
Ian, take it.
TG, yeah. Unlike Raver, TG is. I mean, they're both really good battlers, but I would say TG has less of an ego to Raver and is much easier to get along with. And he is a really nice guy, really good battler. I did 6-0 him in season 1 because of God of War. But since then, it's a shame that he's left of community. But I think he's been popping up in other leagues, according to Jelma Tavish. So hopefully he might consider joining us in the future if he isn't on the ban list, which I don't think he is.
No.
No, he had to leave. I don't remember
Yeah,
why.
he had like college or something.
Something, yeah.
How would you know who's on the ban list anyway?
That's what's static in that.
I'm watching the
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah, he'd fit in really well in our current roster, and I think he would have more competition now than he did back then with the likes of TCP. And
Undoubtedly, yeah.
we've lost static, so our coaches are better now. Yeah,
it would
general.
it would be interesting to see how he would compete, because I mean he was good. He was a good coach, and I will lord it over him forever that I beat him in season 1 playoffs. He was solid.
I beat him in season 1.
Talented kid, and I liked him. He was nice. He was personable. He was easy to, as Ian said, easy to get along with.
My Canadian brethren, may he rest in peace.
Of course, it always depends on growth. The ASL has evolved. The talent pool has evolved. I don't know if
the opinions on Mudsdale has evolved, so that nobody will draft a T1 ever again after TG made that mess up.
Sure. hopefully,
I actually
hopefully we'll
wanna-
get a chance to run into him again.
Yeah.
I'd like
oh,
to.
for sure. I'd love to battle with him again too.
Yeah, I'll put in my 2 cents because I knew him a little bit. So when I first joined, season 3 was pretty much me being a fanboy the whole time. I was there with behind Static, helping it out, looking
Woo!
through old replays, and I saw TG's replays, and his team was shit. His team was so bad. Every time I watched his replays, I was like,
Yep.
how did he ever get a single win? But then I would watch him, and I was like analyzing and calculating my brain, and it was like,
so bad at that
whoa,
thing, but the stuff he
he's
used was
winning
actually
these
great.
games. How did he bring this game back with Crawdon or something like that? And it was crazy, and yeah, TG is definitely a legend. But
The type of battler I would describe TG as is he was just never made a mistake. He wouldn't make the most maybe advantageous play, or he would just go for a mid risk play, a decent play. And he just never made a mistake. If you were going to beat him, he would never hand it to you.
Oh, agreed.
I think another legend from season 1. Probably I don't know him as much because I think he died down around season 3, if I remember correctly. Was Inaria.
Inaria, yeah.
Uh,
Brad and Ian, you said that you met him, or you already knew him before the season. He was like
Yeah.
the first person to join.
So I knew Inaria about a year or two before the ASL, actually. So I've known Inaria for about 4 years now. He, like me, were both ladder and tournament battlers back then. We weren't into draft league, but after TFlight introduced draft leagues to me, I introduced Inaria to draft league, and ASL was his first draft league. He is a great guy, but he had some issues socializing with people, so he wouldn't get along with everyone, and hard for the community to bond. And it was unfortunate, but he's a really good guy and a really nice guy. And he even had a stint on management for a bit, where he was supposed to be in charge of and stuff like that and articles, but that didn't go so well, as I told Brad. But Brad being ever the optimist, and yeah, we went along with it and replaced Inaria with Keester, which I don't know what's probably even worse, maybe.
Historically, again, just to reiterate, that don't know, or for maybe anyone that's listening that was a part of management, I want you to know, Ian never pulled for you. It was just me the whole time. I was the only reason you were there.
Yeah. But saying that,
Thanks, Ian.
if you did do your job or you did do your work, then I would be your number one fan and supporter. Like, hunch, maybe hunch.
True. It's just the way it works out. It's funny when you kind of peel back some of the layers, and that Ian, again, truly has always been kind of our fun, boisterous personality. And in my opinion, if you were to make, a face of the ASL, it's always been Ian. He's always been the outgoing person. And I've always been kind of the rules and the guidelines and the no. I've always been the no. Ian's always been the yay. But when it comes to management, we trade roles. Ian's always like, God, I just don't know. I don't think it'll work. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. I think it'll
Roles
work.
in terms of the hacks, or roles as in terms of like the position.
Roles in terms of where he is with the coaches and with the out front, the public eye. Ian's always the excitement, and I'm always the no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, if we trade behind closed doors and we go talking about who we'll select for management and who we think would be good, Ian's always the that probably isn't going to work, and I'm always the sky's blue, roses are red. I'm pretty sure it'll work. Or some work for a while, some eventually all have left. But this is kind of where we're at.
So, I will admit I did not do enough research beforehand. I didn't even know that Thunderflight was in season 1 until very recently. So I probably should have tried to get him in here, but
Just to be clear, Thunderflight's sets weren't any better then than they are now.
Oh God.
why don't we just hear about some Thunderflight stories, and maybe he'll be.
Okay. The only one I can bring to the party, and Melone, because I actually played in GSL season 3 before I understood what the GSL was.
Okay, dude, before you trash on the GSL, it was good.
I can't
for, like,
trash
the
the
first 2
GSL. It's the only
seasons.
league I won. But anyway, in terms of TFlight, I believe in that league, in the season that I played in, he brought a Behem to 17-3.
Oh yeah.
So, as opposed to like the top tier threat, it's always been that TFlight seems to like the lower tier stuff and just making the most of that, which is why some of his top tier stuff is just garbage. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll share this about TFlight. This to me kind of is a clean picture of who TFlight is as a coach. I'm going to give you nobody cheat. I'm just asking TCP. TCP don't have the doc up. If you were to guess on TFlight's team, which mon kills would you guess? Clefable,
Okay.
Metacam, Nido
Okay.
King, Tentacruel, or Darmanitan? Who would you guess had the most kills?
I would guess Darmanitan, because the
Yeah.
crispy gorilla. But I have
Right.
a
So
feeling
so
that's
it
gonna be Tentacruel.
was a tie between Amoonguss and Tentacruel. As a matter of fact, Amoonguss and Tentacruel had more kills. Amoonguss had as many kills as Mega Metacam and Darmanitan combined.
Oh,
And like that's just T-Flight. His highest differential mon for season 1 was Amoonguss. The kid is. He always has been that way. That's just what he does.
Ian, you don't have any words for him, even though he's the one who got you into this?
Yeah, I think Brad summed it up pretty well. That's how he is. He just likes to not use everyone. He likes to be different and think of creative new ways to and it's fun. I know it would probably be a really fun experience for someone like him, being able to be this creative. But if you're able to deal with not always winning and losing, I think that's what he wants to do. So yeah, quite interesting.
I guess my next question would be: Do you want to talk a little bit more about drama potentially, or do you want to?
So, well, I think we need to at least gloss over ASL versus IPL, because that was also a big thing that happened in season 1 that we really haven't talked about yet.
I'll again another one of my bad ideas. That would be fun. I thought it would be great. It wasn't. The thing about it I've learned over the years, leagues have personalities. Leagues have, if you will think of a league as a person, a single entity, and it has a personality, and not all leagues gel well with other leagues. And we met some cool people, and there are still some cool people from the IPL that I still talk to. Even this week, I can think of one. But it's just our league and their league wasn't exactly going to be hanging out on the weekend.
Wait, just to be, I know a little bit about this. I know some people came over. Was that where like Melone and Jelmer came from?
Yeah, and Larry.
Larry, Melone, Jelmer, and many others. Many others.
A lot of people are still in there today. Like, I I'm pretty sure Inaria was at least there for a long time.
The thing, it's a good league. It's a good league, and I like a lot of the people there. It just their league and our league, we're just we're different leagues for a reason.
Hmm. Well, I mean, the thing that was actually interesting is that a lot of people from the IPL did compete in season 2. We got Laurie, we got Vish, we got
Season 3.
who was the guy who replaced Rin for season 2? I can't remember right off the
Season
top of my
3.
head.
Yeah.
No, for season 2, with the Kieran Black and the Rashi.
Season 1 we did Brad versus me. Season 2 off season we did IPL.
Oh, was that season 2 off season? I thought it was season 1.
Yeah. No.
Ah,
That's why we got rid of Raver in season 1.
right. What even happened in season 1 off season? I can't even remember who won anything.
Yo, Ian's team won because my team loses every offseason, no matter what.
I mean, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I draft the people that I like
That's
and
where
want to
the
be
bad
around.
comes
I'll
from a big
lose.
bad Brad. It's like you can't win off seasons.
I can't. Historically, we'll do a me versus Ian competition. I'll go 4-0 and have like a plus 15 differential, and our whole team will have 3 wins. And I'll
Wait,
just be
to
like,
be fair, you replaced someone in that was in the low tier. I remember this. There was a high tier system and a low tier system.
That's
Brad
right.
replaced someone in the low
Yeah.
tier, went 3-0.
I tried to not even play in it. I tried to get out of it.
Oh, and we can't go through this whole podcast without mentioning Gustavo, the ultimate dark horse of the ASL's entire history. I don't remember exactly what games it was that he won season 1, but he had 2 wins, which means he couldn't have been like the worst person ever.
Gustavo
nice.
historically.
That means
Oh,
I'm
wait.
not the worst person ever.
Whoa, wait a
Oh,
second.
sorry, it might have just been 1 game, but in season 2
I just
we
had a
got
memory. Was Gustavo the one that would only beat like the top
the top tier.
people?
Yeah, I think he beat Raver.
He beat no. Wait, no.
Oh no, Lotad beat
TG
Raver.
did.
Did he beat Brad?
He beat Hutch
me.
and Rocker.
He beat Hutch. Okay,
In
that's still
subsequent seasons,
And
though,
me,
he
but
went
that doesn't
on
count.
to only beat top tier coaches. In subsequent
Yeah.
seasons, he'd win 2 games, and his 2 games would be against, I think, me and Jelmer one year.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember him beating TG and the whole
Yeah,
league
right.
going crazy about that.
Oh my god. That guy. He beat Ian season 1. Oh my god. With a team with Mega Swampert, Volcanion,
Yeah, in my
Volcarona.
defense,
Sorry.
season 1, I was kind of overly excited to get my battles done, so I used the same team as I did the week before.
You did the GSL season 3 strat.
Yeah,
Where you just
basically.
bought the same team every single time.
And
I mean, there was a lot of good things, man. It was a great experience. Season 1 was rough. Season 2 was a little bit better, but we were still toddlers. We still didn't know. We were still lost in many ways. Better growth, I think, in season 2, and kind of
course, the seasons
Forced.
started getting better as soon as I joined in season 3, right?
So just to be, if we're gonna do TCP memories,
Oh
my
no!
my real first memory of TCP was drumming him in an off-season battle,
Here it comes.
and I'll never forget it because This is how I knew TCP was going to be a good coach one day, is because he approached me after the game and he's like, he said, "Here's the frustrating thing. All 6 mons you were going to bring." He said, "And I even guessed most of their sets, and you still kicked the crap out of me." He said, one day, I'm gonna get this thing figured out." I knew then. I was like, you know what, this kid's probably gonna turn out to be pretty good one day, but I'm gonna own him until then.
Yeah, I remember that. That was probably one of my favorite. It's the favorite battle that I've ever had that I've ever lost.
Wow, Panda, why you gotta cut Ian off like that?
A
Jesus.
jerk. What
Yeah.
a jerk.
What are you doing here?
Oh my God.
Saying that he had an issue.
Wait, what?
The way TCP used to set up his EVs was stupid. So
I don't even remember that. That's so long ago.
Yeah. He showed me like a set, and he was like, EVs like that. I was like,
Who knows?
okay.
I am, well, for those that don't know, I will also pull back another layer for you. If you're listening to this, I've probably complained about you too, Ian. If I get frustrated, I'll just spam Ian's
Pretty much.
inbox. And then when I feel better about it, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm good. And he's like, what, is that it? Yeah, no. I just need to yell about it for a few minutes. I'm good. We're good.
My first introduction to TCP is when he went to me in DMs and said, "I have an announcement. For the first time in ASL history for the Utah Boots, we will be taking on a co-coach." He's just acted a good battler and an even better person. No, but seriously, I mean, for season 3, he kind of helped me out, clarify my mind. It wasn't always for the best. I mean, he thought the type null was garbage, which he's wrong about. But we have our differences. But I mean, he was even a co-coach in like season 4 when I won like 2 games all season. And
Keep in mind, every prep time, Static would start is like, okay, we're gonna bring Sword Stance Flame Charge type null, right?
pretty much. And in season 4, we had our low tier battle, which was one of the games that I won, and was definitely the most fun game I had all season. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, you and I have always been on good terms. Even if I have to root against you sometimes because you win too much.
I will admit it was easier for me to get wins back then. I think my difference after this first 2 seasons was like plus 50.
It's because not everybody's a kid anymore, Brad. You just be like, "Oh, you child,
I know.
get over here!" And
Now I have to.
Now you're just like an old man.
now I've got to like try hard.
Oh God, I have to actually like prep creatively. So just bring bulk every week.
Why do you think I had to step down for this season? I'm like, I'm not prepping. This is
I
ridiculous.
can't fight against Ian. What are you talking about? God, it's meant to be good or something.
Who has time to prep? I ain't doing that.
It's not like Ian made finals in the same season.
Oh God, what season was it that he was 11-0? The only game like I prepped more than 10 minutes for was to beat him.
Wait, was that the season where you had a
6.
Bomb Snow, season 3?
No. I do want it known that in season 3, I intentionally drafted a bad team just because I had 50, like a plus 50 differential. I was like, let's challenge myself. Well, I did, and I lost a lot, but I still beat Ian in the Commissioner Bowl.
Just that little flex. Just that tiny little flex. It's like, I'm still better than Ian. Don't worry about
it. It's funny.
Well,
I remind Ian all the time. He will play like garbage 4 weeks in a row. And then me and him battle, and it's like, holy Jesus, he's like the greatest player of all time. I'm like, why can't you be that good the other week? But no, somebody always has to wake up the day we're going to play.
So, like, basically, the thing about...
Well, Ian cut out for me.
Uh-oh.
What he was going to say is that he loves me. He thinks I'm the best.
What he was going to say was the basic principle is I can't win unless I have Toadicus. Or I can't win if Shadow's in the lead because he just hasses everybody out, just like just reciting stuff we all already know.
Probably talking right now, but nobody's listening.
He's probably like tagging people, just like, what are you? God, can you hear me?
And
I will.
You got cut like Raver's career, like.
Ian and I, if you want to go back and watch some of the goofiest kind of throwdowns, well, our Commissioner Bowl history has always been fun.
Yeah. Oh, the Commissioner Bowl has been the highlight, and then it became the Susie Bowl, and it ruined everything.
yeah.
I mean, it's partially their fault because they left.
Oh, it's partially their fault because it's Susie.
Yeah.
But that's the main problem.
Speaking of the Susie Bowl,
Oh,
Keester was a part of this season. Some people might not even know Keester. I know, crazy. He won a season.
Well, I mean, he's so inactive. It's hard to know when he actually is in the league. But good guy. I think I didn't actually get to play him. No, I did get to play him, and I brought. I accidentally brought like Sap Sipper or Zoomeril or something. It wasn't even a huge power, and that was like one of the few times I beat it.
Uh-oh.
We're just gonna prep last second and do random stuff. And I was playing in GSL at the same time, so it was sort of like I knew him from the GSL, and then I fought him there, and then I fought him in the IPSA. Remember that? That's a throwback.
Dude,
But-
that was great league. In the
But-
series,
Ian-
I hit 3 thunders in a row without.
Are
Yeah.
you back, Ian? Can we hear you good?
Yeah, we're good.
Off at we lost you.
Wait, why did you ask him if
Alright.
we could hear him good though? Because he wouldn't know.
Yeah, don't talk anymore. And Ian,
All right.
continue.
So basically, when I play Brad, it's a really big game for us both, and I usually put in hours and hours of prep into it, single time. But I'll think about it a whole week and maybe do 20 minutes at a time every day, and just tweak my team as I go along. When I play other coaches, or when I used to play other coaches in previous seasons, I would spend like 10 to 15 minutes on prep and stick with that. And that usually went my way, sometimes went against me, and I'd always end up being a 7-6 coach. I tried to change that, and I tried to spend more time on prep and actually thinking and doing things right. Reached finals, but I felt really burnt out after that, really exhausted. And I needed a break in season 6 because I couldn't do that again. And season 7, I've been trying to do that as well. I'll see. Hopefully, I don't need a break in season 8.
I think Ian, you and I are like low key rivals. Whenever we actually are in the same league, where it's always you and I going up against each other in playoffs or something.
Yeah.
And it's like you and Brad is the big spectacle of the main season, and then you and I are just like, oh hey, we're gonna. Because I don't think you and Brad have ever played in playoffs.
We have it.
Have you both ever gotten to the playoffs in the same season?
I've only missed playoffs once.
Playoff season 2, 3, 5, I think.
I remember you were in 3 and Brad wasn't in. So it would just be season 2 where you had a chance of meeting up in playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
I've only been in one season that I drafted a team that I didn't make the playoffs. So
Yeah, I made it instead because I won like 5 games in a row. You would have made it, I think.
Grant has always been.
Wow, bring real names in it. Thanks, Brad.
Didn't say who Grant was, moron. Until you,
Oh,
Big Mouth,
yeah,
started
sure.
talking. Truly, just the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I know.
So much potential. So
Hmm.
much potential. So little effort.
It's true. I'm actually. Fun fact: people don't know this. I have a worse differential than Melone does. It's not marked. It's so bad that it can't be marked on any docs. That's.
Static's been in every season ever since, but you haven't seen him because he's the only coach that went 0-14.
I actually forfeited all my games, so I had to be like hidden.
Ian, can you think of any kind of interesting, kind of notable stories over the years that maybe we haven't mentioned?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, I was talking. Yeah, like oh god.
There's still one notorious person that I know who we haven't talked about, which would have to be Rocker Boy 317.
Boy,
Oh, God.
315.
Oh,
He's
okay.
still around on the
that
server.
conversation's done now. Good job.
Okay,
We're finished.
Rocker was there.
Or Lotad would probably be more notorious because Roger's still here.
Oh,
Lotad
yeah.
is where the
Lotad,
hell?
the infamous one.
He's the one who beat Raver guy season 1 with a goal bat.
Little Mystic Law.
Freaking goal bat.
I'll tell you one of my favorite memories. It was in season 4. Had Celesteela, Porygon 2, Mega Gardevoir, Bronzong. Take a wild shot at what their final record was.
What?
So I just want to say that you say favorite memories, but you started off by saying Celesteela. I don't know what deranged sort of logic loop you've got yourself stuck in, but you can't have anything involving Celesteela that's your favorite. That's not allowed.
I love that because you'll get it when I tell you who it was. But they went 1-12. They have gone 1-12. But Country Boy Cam, the Washington well loaded. He had a talent. He's one of those. You ever heard of people that teams that they tend to play down to their competition? Cam, he broke the bar. Like he couldn't get any lower. He couldn't play down any further sometimes.
God. It's funny, we're not talking about season 2. That's when I was actually good. But oh god,
Static, if you want, we can in the future we can have a season 2 podcast and we get like Melone and Vish and you.
Oh, that'd be great. And we can talk about how Celestial was banned, and it was my favorite season ever. It was the best time of my life. I beat TG in season 2, man. Remember that? God.
So
remember when Melone had a team that? Yeah. Why is it that Melone doesn't do with Mega Gyarados? It shocks me. I like that he's doing good, but it's like, why Mega Gyarados?
This is fun.
It is fun, but no. Oh my god.
Season 3 was.
Remember when Mega Sharpedo got like 17 kills within 8 games, and then traded away?
The trade was very.
Season 3 was a nightmare.
Season 3, I had. I will share with you. I had so much hope. I loved his personality, and he's just so fun and so much fun to be around. I hate that he wasn't able to commit the way some other folks have over the years.
Ghost is a really good guy. Yeah, 100%.
Just birthday today, on time of recording.
Is it? Happy birthday! Such a fun guy to be around. Always hope that he'll kind of revive himself and come back and hang out with us.
Well, wait a second here. That happy birthday was like such like a kind of annoyed, half-assed happy birthday. Wait a second here. He's like, hey, look at me. I did something. And Brad's like, nope. Shut down.
I like Ghost, always have. I hope that he one day will try to come back potentially.
And speaking of season 3 too, let's talk about how Ian has the single best roster of any team that's ever been drafted in the ASL.
I thought that was Keester's team because Hutch kept on going on like.
Well, I mean, it was Keester's team, but it was like I mean, he still had like a Ditto that he never used, and like he had Cloyster, which I gave him, but he never used it.
I mean,
every single mon on Ian's team was okay. I mean, Blaziken's kind of suspect.
Ian's team was ridiculous.
It was so dumb.
Team had Mega
I usually love to draft teams with lots of momentum, and that team really.
And
wow. Sunday only had 6 kills.
I remember every game I was like, oh, Ian's gonna bring Banded Staraptor, and then he brought Banded Staraptor.
It just did so well. Like what it needed to do with Scizor and Jolteon getting momentum with Staraptor. So it worked.
The story of season 6 was Ian sowing me like week 2, and then me beating him in playoffs.
Yeah.
and then Keester winning this season, or was it? No, did TG win that season?
TG or Keester won season 3
Season
because
3,
of
okay. Yeah.
Aromati swallowing out Hutch.
Watch the choke master.
Unfortunately,
wanna-
we've had some like meh finals.
Yeah, finals.
Yeah,
First season
finals.
finals
Yeah.
was good. First season
Yeah.
finals was good.
Mainly like 3 and 6 were just unfortunate.
I do want
I
to
could
point
not
out.
deal with.
I seem to have a knack for gimmick of the season always coming against me. I don't know why it is that people just go ultra prep when they have to face me, but I think gimmick of the season has happened against me like 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, when you happen to have the best differential of the league of all time, I mean,
And maybe
that does contribute.
that's fair. Okay, fair comment. But like sometimes, That's the
sometimes you
end.
just wanna. Sometimes
Hold
you don't
on.
want to lose to double shell smash refresh cloister. I know.
Hold
I
on,
get
hold
it,
on.
Brad.
TFlight was in season 1 and he didn't win gimmick of the season. Just saying.
Oh, Melone won it. Malone
Yeah,
won.
that was me. And it was against you.
It
That
was.
Speaking of losses that were like
Fair.
that was
I know.
probably my favorite loss. Like, just saying.
My
Was
favorite
that-
loss is against you, Malone.
Season 1.
Yeah,
Precious.
absolutely. Because it's just the stupidest loss I've ever had. It's
But I
so
think
good.
things are starting to wind down. So I think
Yeah.
it's been an hour and 13 minutes about. So
I think we kind of covered it. It doesn't help that like a lot of us, or Malone and myself, only joined like halfway through, and then Brad and Ian were just sort of like, yeah, like we kind of covered the main stories.
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I guess as we wrap up, I know Brad has a stream that he might want to plug that everyone already probably knows about. But if you want to do plugs or anything, this would be the time to do it. So
I try to keep my separate from the ASL, but if you want to link it below the video, that's fine.
okay, Ian.
You can go follow Rocker Boy Gaming on YouTube if you want.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about banning him in the background. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't usually like to plug my personal stuff outside of the league, so I'm not going to plug my personal.
All you had to do was plug it, and it would have been hilarious.
Okay. So you can follow
wait.
me. Follow me on Twitter at the real Mr. Spider 32. Actually, but no, I don't. Please don't follow me. I don't do anything. You're not gonna get any content. Just don't do it, please. For the
And
love
that's
of
it
God.
from the one and only Jolteon of gaming. So that's all from the All Star Speaking Lounge second podcast. Brett should be in the third one. He had a
Awful.
scheduling issue where he thought we were gonna do this on a Friday or on a Saturday. So he scheduled time off work for a Saturday, and then it was a Friday, so that was a big oof. So he should be back, maybe running the thing again, next time. But
Good old Brett.
Just want to point out
He got an
Crap
energy
holding
ball
for
to
me,
his
though.
schedule, and then it was like, oh,
excellent
maybe that's not
leadership.
the best idea.
This podcast by scheduling
Yeah,
the wrong day off. Yeah. Hey, before we go, hey TCP, just for Brett's sake, is Volcarona neutral to ice?
I would actually say that Volcarona actually resists ice. It's a funny
Incredible.
thing. Ice is not very strong against fire. I'm not sure if you
Okay.
know that.
Can you just do me a favor? Send information about what resists what. Maybe it'll help him in future videos.
Oh
Ooh.
God.
Can you wait till like after tomorrow though?
You see, if you would let me back into the league, then maybe I could tell him myself. Because
Ooh,
obviously it's but
Statics
Wait,
issuing a
hold on,
challenge
hold
against
on.
Brad when he gets
Why do you have
back
to-
into the league. New rivalries, old players.
well, if TG's coming back, I gotta represent, and then we gotta get Matt. We'll just make the ASL Canadian. Don't worry about it. Brad and Ian, they're gone. We gotta get the North to represent here.
You heard it here first. ASL is being taken over by the Canadians. Let's find
Yeah.
out how well they do
3
next time.
Canadians.
3 Canadians. I'm sure they'll find 14 or 11 other Canadians, right?
Yep.
There must be at least that many in Canada, right?
There's not even that many in draft league.
Anyways, I guess this is all from us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.